Testing 1, 2, mic check, check.
Is 7:05 p.m. and I would like to call to order the March meeting of the Southampton County School Board. We have all 9 of our school board members present. And it is the regular March 10th, 2025 meeting of the Southampton County School Board. We have all 9 of our members present, so we do have a quorum. There are also 2 items that I need to add to the agenda. Under action items, I do need to add item E, which is a learning enrichment plan. Under action items, so it'll be action item E, learning enrichment plan. And under matters from the board, I would like to add item B, under matters from the board, I'd like to add an item B, and thus a response to the February 2026 Tidewater News article. Is there another board member who needs to add an item to the agenda tonight?
Yes, could we add school calendars to, I guess, matters from the board?
Okay. So there'll be item C under matters from the board. Will be school calendars. Is there another board member who needs to add an item to the agenda? So do we have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
Second.
Motion's been moved by Mr. Scott, with the second by Ms. Lane to approve the agenda as amended. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The minutes from our regular February school board meeting, the February 10th meeting, the school board work session on February 24th, and the public hearing on March 3rd. Those minutes were included in your board documents. Are there any corrections to those minutes? If there are no corrections, then the minutes are approved as distributed. We are now down to recognitions. Our board believes in and supports celebrating student success. The Superintendent Student of the Month program is one way that our district recognizes students for their academic performance, positive character trait demonstrations, and/or extracurricular activity performances. So with that said, Dr. Shannon, I turn it over to you.
Yes, good evening, everyone. I am excited to recognize our students for their outstanding performance academically as well as socially and athletically. We will start with Capron Elementary School. And Ms. Wanda Gary isn't present, but I'm sure one of her colleagues has already been asked to present on her behalf. Thank you, Ms. Fowler.
Good evening, board. Thank you so much for having us here. I am going to represent Capron Elementary. Ms. Gary did send me her information, so I would first like to call up Dean Scott. Dean is here. Well, I will go ahead and read why Dean was chosen. Dean is a first grade student at Capron Elementary School. According to his teacher, Ms. Granite, Dean has made wonderful progress as an emergent reader. Ms. Granite also states that Dean is a very hard worker. So if we could give a round of applause for Dean. And I'm actually really excited to be able to present Capron's second student, Mr. Patrick Tupea. Patrick was also a former Manhattan Eagle, so I am glad to be able to call him up today. Patrick is a 5th grade student at Capron Elementary School. Ms. McDonald states that Patrick has a love for learning and is eager to apply new skills and knowledge. Patrick never gives up and is always kind to classmates and has a positive attitude that everyone loves. So congratulations, Patrick. Okay, moving on to my Manhattan Eagles, I would first like to call up Mr. Andrew Taylor. So Andrew was chosen, he's a 2nd grader at Manhattan, and he is accountable. That's why he was chosen, because he's accountable. He works hard and completes all of his assignments. He is kind and respectful to others, and he's always a great student to greet in the morning. So congratulations, Andrew. And next, I'd like to call up Andy Martinez-Chavez. Andy is a 5th grader at Manhattan. He comes in each day with a smile on his face that you cannot miss. He is a friend to all, and he makes everyone laugh. So this is Andy Martinez-Chavez.
Thank you, Ms. Fowler. Next, we have Ms. Street representing Nottoway Elementary School. Ms. Street.
Good evening, everybody. My first student, and I did not see her, but she has been on the weather, is Miss Samora Langford. And Miss Samora Langford, she is a 2nd grade student who has opened up. This is her 2nd year at Nottoway, and she has just brightened the whole entire office with her smile. She lights up the whole entire room. She's a very hardworking student, and she is a friend to all. So please give Samora a big round of applause. My next next student, I've only had the privilege of having her for 1 year. So Miss Kayla Branch, come on up. Miss Kayla is at Monday, and this is her first year. She is one of my 5th grade students, and her teachers just absolutely rave about her. They say that she is a spark of joy and love, that she is one of the hardest working students, and she just has such a positive and uplifting attitude. And so we wanted to give her this award for Miss Kayla Branch.
Next, we have Riverdale Elementary School, Mr. Paul Key and Ms. Alicia Warren.
Good evening, everyone. Ours came up with us, our first one, Kingsley Grant. Kingsley Grant is in Ms. Bailey's class in pre-K. Ms. Bailey says she is kind classmate who always gets along with her peers. She's a hardworking student who consistently puts in her best effort. It is a pleasure to have her in class. And we're giving this to Kingsley Grant.
Good evening. Our next recipient, his name is Jackson. If you would come up at this time. All right, Jackson has made great strides in the 24-25 school year. He loves to help do the Pledge of Allegiance and assist with morning announcements. He is becoming a model student, and we love watching him make great strides and improvements in becoming a cardinal at Riverdale. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Riverdale. Next, we have Southampton Middle School, who is represented by Dr. Mark Barfield, Ms. Tiffany Madison, and Ms. Jasmine Galloway.
Good evening, Dr. Shannon, Dr. Goodwin, members of the board. Hope you're having a great evening. So for 6th grade students, I'd like to begin with Mr. Bryson Boone. Bryson behaves well and succeeds well in all of his classes. He is a respectful student and gets along well with others. He sets a high example of Indian pride. I am proud of his hard work and example that he believes that he is deserving of this recognition. And next we have Antonella Alfaro. I don't see her, but I'm still going to recognize it. Antonella always works hard in all of her classes. She faces challenges due to a language barrier, and even though she has those challenges, she faces them with a positive attitude. She leads by example in her positive behavior and respectful attitude, which she has maintained since the beginning of the school year. We are so proud of her and how she has inspired her strength of character and resilience, and we all believe that she is very deserving of this recognition.
Good evening, Dr. Shannon, Dr. Goodwin, members of the board, and community members. Tonight I have the privilege of recognizing my first student is Justin Wright. Justin is a hardworking individual who shines bright each day in and out of the classroom. He is a role model student. He always makes sure he is on time for class, very respectful to his classmates and teachers, and is on track with his schoolwork. He makes schoolwork his #1 priority in the classroom while maintaining being a scholar athlete. Congratulations, Justin. And the next student I would like to recognize is Miss Jasmine Pat. Jasmine is respectful and hardworking. She shows compassion and respect to other students and teachers. She always puts forth her best effort when it comes to her schoolwork or anything else she puts her mind to. She is consistently prepared and communicates well with her teachers. She is always willing to help wherever help is needed. Congratulations, Jasmine.
Good evening, Dr. Goodwin, board members, Dr. Shannon, and community at large. For the 8th grade, we'd like to recognize first tonight is Janaya Boone. Unfortunately, she's not able to make it due to her mother's work schedule, but based upon Mr. Tron, her pre-algebra teacher, stated that math is not her strongest subject. However, she is a model math student. Tremendous work ethic, polite, is not afraid to pick herself up after failing a concept. She sets a high bar expectation for herself and her peers. Janaya Boone. Mr. Trevor Dent. Mr. Charles said Trevor displays the consistency of coming into the classroom, getting any materials needed ready, listening to instruction, and completing assignments without questions. Trevor is never afraid to ask questions, only has to be shown once to complete any task. He is always respectful to staff and students and sets a high bar expectation for his peers to follow. Today I asked Trevor what did he like about school. Trevor said with a big laugh, he likes lunch. And I said, what else did you like about school? He said his hobbies are football and soccer. So I present to you Trevor Dent this evening.
All right, and next we have Mr. Jafar Baraka, representing Southampton High School.
Good evening, Dr. Shannon, Dr. Goodwin, esteemed board members, parent partners, and guests. Again, I'm Jafar Baraka, the proud principal of Southampton High School, and I'm pleased to present my students of the month for the month of February. Southampton High School Junior, Bria Gaudet, helped organize a successful blood drive, assisting with donor registration, and working with Mr. Howell. She is also active in the National Honor Society along with junior class and participates in athletics. She has been a joy to have working and learning in our school building. Bria Gaudet. Our next student of the month is Peyton Clements. Although Peyton is not present this evening, he is working at his job. However, Peyton is an active senior and is always on the move. But our teachers channel his energy into positive activities. You can always find him helping a teacher, working in CTE, and he recently signed up a large number of participants for our blood drive, along with working to make the blood drive a success, as the Red Cross was in our building. When Peyton was found out he was selected as one of our students of the month, he replied, "No, really?" and proceeded to jump around the classroom. And mind you, Peyton is 6 feet 5 inches and 265 pounds. He's a big burly guy. Now imagine Peyton jumping around the classroom in excitement. Peyton Clements.
All right, and next we have a video that was submitted on behalf of Southampton High School, and it's a video just showcasing some of the great things that is occurring at Southampton High School under the leadership of Mr. Jafar Baraka and his team. So we'll play that short video for you now.
From seniors watching the sunrise before the first day of classes, from welcoming teachers from all over the world and students from across the country,
to Friday night lights
and high intensity basketball playoffs, to late nights of studying and running on Starbucks to get through first block. The students of SHS have big dreams. Our administration and teachers build real relationships with us in the hall and in the classrooms. We are Southampton, and we are excited to finish the year strong with a growth mindset as our school transforms through the station.
On behalf of the entire school board, I want to congratulate the students who were recognized tonight, and I want to thank both the parents and the students for helping make Southampton County Public Schools great. Ms. Key is in front. She likes to take a picture of all the students who were recognized tonight. So if you would make your way to the front entrance, you can do so. The board will take about a 5-minute break. You're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but if you want to take your picture and leave, we do understand that you have to get home and do homework and other things. But thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for helping us out.
We got to get it.
So we're now going to move into the public comment period of our meeting. Although Virginia law does not require us to hold a public comment period, the Southampton County School Board chooses to do so because we believe it's important for us to hear from our community partners. We value public input and we recognize the importance of receiving it. The public comment period is a time for board members to listen to the views and concerns of individuals regarding Southampton County Public Schools. Therefore, please do not expect board members to respond to comments or to answer questions during the public comment period. We also ask that you respectfully follow a few guidelines in order to address the board. Members who wish to speak tonight were asked to sign up in the lobby before the start of the meeting. The second thing is that we do have a 3-minute time limit for each individual. So the time limit has been created so that as many members of the public as possible who wish to speak may do so, while still allowing sufficient time for the board to conduct other necessary business. We do have a visible timer to help keep us on track. Speakers may not give or yield their speaking time to other people. And 3, speakers should address their comments to the board and not to the superintendent or other audience members. And finally, we ask that audience members refrain from comments and demonstrations such as blowing, hissing, or clapping. We had 2 people to sign up tonight, and I'll call them in the order in which they signed up. So the first person is Megan Riddick. Item 5, matters from previous meetings. So we have an update on the architect, Shannon.
Sure. Tonight we have with us our architect who's going to talk about the progress of our building project. And Mr. Melvin is here also. Mr. Melvin, if you would join him at the podium, I'd appreciate it. I think Mr. Melvin is going to start the presentation off, and then the architect will speak. Thank you.
Good evening, Dr. Goodway, Dr. Shannon, board. Just a real quick recap and update of where we're at with the student health and education building out here at the high school. A little history on this first. We started out with an initial budget of about $650,000. The initial estimate that came in March of last year was $750,000. We put the project out to bid in September of last fall. We did not receive any bids on the project at the time. So we have reorganized and took another approach, and we issued an RFP, or request for proposal, last Wednesday. That'll be open until March 26th. Now, the RFP allows for a total number of days from notice to proceed until the project has to be complete of 116 days. But it all depends on how fast they can get it done faster, but they can't go longer. Now, the total budget itself encompasses everything, the site prep, the cement lab, slab, the electrical, plumbing, HVAC. Pretty much it just covers the complete construction of the entire building. It also includes what we need for permits, legal fees, our architecture and engineering fees, and all auxiliary equipment to outfit the facility so that we don't have just a blank shell. We're going to have health and fitness equipment in the building for the students to use. So that's when we get to the end number for the total budget. That's all we do. That was my quick rundown. So, any questions on that piece?
I just passed out to you all exactly what Mr. Melvin had.
Turn it over to Mr. Bauer.
Thank you, Mr. Melby. I'd like to back toward the seat later on to adjust the mic. Good evening, everyone. So as Mr. Melby said, yes, we did issue the RFP, and some things that we received on feedback was the lack of interest of general contractors to go after this project for different reasons. We did a metal building and they didn't want to do a metal building, and then we did wood building and they didn't want to do wood building. And so we were trying to figure out a way, well, how can we do this to get the most amount of interest? So with the RFP, what this allows the contractors to do is to say, if this contractor wants to do plumbing and electrical and the metal building and other pieces, they can submit for their piece of the puzzle. Or we may get contractors that now want to do the entire thing because they're in a different marketplace today than they were in last October. So this really does allow us the freedom to be able to handpick contractors and place contractors together in order to be able to make this happen. As Mr. Melby said, as part of their proposal is that they're going to be submitting everything, the cost along with the schedule, and just because we're putting a certain number of days does not mean that they cannot get it done in less time than that. The other part of this is that we always want both the design team and the owner and the contractor to all be agile. So as our HVAC engineer says, okay, Josh, I want this for the HVAC system because it'll serve, and the contractor says, well, gee, Josh, that's going to take us 28 months, just throwing a number, for us to be able to obtain that. But I can get this one in 28 days. Great. If it is meeting the intent of the design, then we can look at that and use that as an alternate system. So this process, we've used this in other school divisions, has become very, very popular, especially on smaller cap projects. Here's the other exciting part about this, is that you're signing a contract with this contractor that is going to allow you to not just do the field house. Like, if you want to do other projects, you're going to have now these pool of contractors so that Mr. Melby's team does not get stressed when you say, hey, can we go in and paint these rooms or renovate these spaces? You can actually call on this contractor for a series of years to be able to do this if you find that they are successful. that they do a great job and everything, and they meet your timeline and your budget. So as Mr. Welby said, the bids are due, or the proposals are due March 24th. But I want to be very clear that if we receive them earlier, we actually can accept them earlier. The 24th is the maximum timeline. If they give it to us next Wednesday, we will take it, receive it, and make recommendations then. So again, we are putting the end date as the maximum. They can always get it done earlier, both receiving, both submitting the proposal and doing the work and getting us done earlier, if that makes sense. So it's a very exciting time. We're receiving a lot of positive feedback. The phone has been ringing off the hook with contractors saying, we want to work with Josh and Will, and that's what they said, right? No, just me. So it's, so I think we are definitely moving in the right direction to get you done with this building. Our goal is by the end of this fiscal year. Any questions, comments, thoughts?
Any questions from board members?
Do we have we had proposals put in already from people?
We have not yet, but we are working on a couple of them that we're recommending them submit it earlier, then not wait until the 24th. But again, it's only been out for about a week, so right now we're just getting a lot of questions like, hey, how do I fill this out, or is this what the maximum is, or what can I put on my team? Those are what's happening right now.
Any additional questions from board members? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you. We're now going to move into action items. The first action item is the financial report and payment of bills. Dr. Shannon?
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Carr, our Director of Finance, will come to the podium and make their presentation.
Good evening, all present tonight. If I could bring your attention to the preliminary expenditure report for the month of February, you'll see that the local operating budget remains at $36,970,753. Expenditures through February 28th total $20,185,395. This leaves us a balance of $16,785,349.05. Please note that as of the date of this report, 54.6% has been expended from the local operating budget. The February bill list is attached to the agenda for the board's approval tonight. Are there any questions?
Any questions from Ms. Carr?
We approve the bills as presented.
It's been moved by Ms. Vaughn, a second by Mr. Scott, that we approve the bills as presented. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. The next action item is the FY 2025-2026 proposed operating budget. As you know, Ms. Bunn chairs the school board budget committee, and Mr. Smith works with her on that committee, and they work with the superintendent and her staff to come up with the proposed operating budget. So Ms. Bunn, any comments?
First of all, I'd just like to say thank you to everybody that's helped with the budget process thus far. And, we've been down a long road with a lot of input, and I appreciate the input at work sessions as well. Thank you to Ms. Carr, who's helped keep us on track with what the state is saying at various times, because of course we know that's a fluid process as well. So what we have and what we reviewed again last week is of course a needs-based budget of what it will take to provide a good education for our children in Southampton County. So again, thank y'all for your help.
Thank you, Dr. Shannon.
Sure. We have met a number of times regarding the budget presentation, and we've also met a number of times just regarding the budget in general. So I just wanted to outline some of the key items in the budget, and then Ms. Carr will follow up with some additional information. So some of our key items in our proposed budget request are a 3% increase for all employees, raising the beginning teacher salary to $48,200. We requested additional positions, 1 special education teacher at Nottaway, 1 special education teacher at Riverdale, 2 special education teachers at Southampton High School, 1 kindergarten paraprofessional at Nottaway, 1 kindergarten paraprofessional at Riverdale, 1 elementary paraprofessional at Fresh Start, and 7 float pool staff to be used division-wide as substitutes. Some of the instructional needs were, we requested $106,314 increase for special education regional tuition, and then $263,515 increase for OT, PT, and speech services. We're requesting a $30,000 increase for legal services, and then for operational needs, $5,200 increase for insurance on vehicles, $31,250 increase in diesel and gasoline expenses, $44,705 increase in electrical services, $10,850 increase in heating services, $1,500 increase in water and sewer services, $7,575 increase in property and liability insurance. So the total requested local and state operating budget for the 25-26 fiscal year is $38,282,007. And of that amount, we have a need for $14,049,056 to come from the county. And that is an increase of $2,499,745. Ms. Carr?
Yes, Ms. Artis, have you passed that budget book? I can get you to do that. Thank you. Okay, so Ms. Artis is passing out the value budget book that we talked about last week. This is, includes the reports that we have been over. Nothing has changed. I did get the information from the General Assembly. The total number on the revenue matches the revenue that we were working with. So there was just a minor changes in where those funds were coming from for the SFQ funded positions. They gave one up a little bit to cover that, but the bottom line did not change. So I have adjusted the revenue sheet in that packet. And then, of course, most of the information in that packet is your line item budget that matches all the documents that we presented to you. Now, the one thing that I do want to go over in detail is what we're going to send to the county with our proposed line item budget will be the categorical budget. The categorical budget is broken down in categories such as 61,000, 62, 63, 64. So you'll see that categorical budget. We went over that a couple of weeks ago. It's a few pages in. But what I'm going to do is just go over those categories because the county will receive the categorical budget along with the line item budget. So the 61,000 category is instruction. This category includes salaries and benefits for all instructional personnel, including teachers, guidance counselors, librarians, teacher assistants, principals, school-level clerical staff, instructional supervisors and their clerical staff, as well as supplemental pay for coaches and club sponsors. Also included in this category are instructional contracted services for OT, PT, and speech, special ed regional tuition, the government schools, dual enrollment, summer school, educational materials and supplies, and textbooks. We are requesting an increase of $526,497 in the 61,000 category. This increase includes the costs related to the minimum 3% salary increase and related benefits for all instructional staff, and the costs associated with the addition of the 4 special ed teachers, 3 paraprofessionals, and the 7 float pool staff to be used as substitutes throughout the division. Also included in this category are the costs associated with the increases for special ed regional tuition, along with the increase for the OT, PT, and speech services. The next category is 62,000, which is administration and health. This category includes salaries and benefits for the office of the superintendent, school board, the human resources and finance, as well as school nurses, social workers, and the school psychologists. Expenditures in this category includes legal services, auditing services, recruiting services and supplies, medical and laboratory supplies, office and media supplies and services, and contractual expenses for administrative software for recruiting, for time and attendance, and also for our BSDA services. We are requesting an increase of $338,083 in the $62,000 category. This increase includes the cost related to the minimum 3% salary increase and related benefits for all employees in this category. Non-personnel increases in this category include $30,000 for legal services. Our next category is $63,000, pupil transportation. This category includes salaries and benefits for our bus drivers, car drivers, and aides, bus garage staff, transportation supervisor and administrator, and their clerical staff. Also, the dispatcher and the router. Expenditures in this category include gasoline and diesel costs, bus and vehicle supplies and services, our insurance on the fleet, and office supplies. We are requesting an increase of $77,330 in the $63,000 category. This increase includes the cost related to the minimum 3% salary increase and related benefits for all employees in this category. And the non-personnel increases include $31,250 for gasoline and diesel costs and the $5,200 increase for insurance on vehicles. Our next category is $64,000, operation and maintenance. This category includes salaries and benefits for the administrator, the clerical staff, as well as our security officers and administrator. Expenditures in this category include utilities, such as electrical, heating, water, phone, and postage. It also includes repair and maintenance services for equipment, copier rental and maintenance, and property and liability insurance. We are requesting an increase of $321,937 in the $64,000 category. This increase includes the cost related to the minimum 3% salary increase and related benefits for all employees in this category, along with non-personnel increases in this category, which include $44,705 for electrical services, $10,850 for heating services, $1,500 for water and sewer services, $7,575 for property and liability insurance, and $75,000 for repair and maintenance supplies. Contracted services, or HES, are also included in this category, along with reductions in several areas that were affected by the switch to contracted services. These areas of reductions were in areas such as custodial and maintenance salaries and benefits and janitorial supplies. Our next category is the $66,000 site improvement. This category includes expenditures for services and supplies as they relate to the improvement of our building and grounds. Such services may include painting, replacement of flooring, refinishing gym floors, landscaping, and purchasing of non-movable equipment. We are actually requesting a decrease of $95,000 in the $66,000 category for services that are not covered under the maintenance and custodial contract with HES. Our next category is debt service, which is $67,000 category. This category includes expenditures for debt service as it relates to Southampton County Public Schools. We receive this information from Southampton County each year. The FY 25-26 budget includes the following projects. We're still paying for Riverdale Elementary, we're paying for school roofs, the Energy Performance Project, and school buses. The county is requesting an increase of $95,669 in the $67,000 category, which includes the cost to finance the purchase of 5 new school buses. The last category is $68,000. This category includes salary and fringes for all technology staff, including our technology resource teachers, our technology specialists, and support staff. Expenditures in this category include costs relating to the purchase of software, hardware, and technology supplies for all departments, and the costs related to providing internet access to our students and staff. We are requesting an increase of $46,738 in the $68,000 category. This category includes the costs related to the minimum 3% salary increase and the related benefits for all technology staff. So that's how our budget is broken down as far as the state and local operating budget. Dr. Shannon went over the, our total request at $38,282,007. And this, along with that, our state funding is projected at $24,128,651. This is based on an average daily membership of 2,114.8. We are using the General Assembly's approved budget for our revenue projections at this time as we await final approval from the governor. You also see the non-resident tuition and federal funds for adult education are estimated $104,300. Therefore, we will need $14,049,056 in local revenue to balance our requested budget. This amount represents an increase of $2,499,745 in local funds over the current budget of $11,549,311. Also included in this budget are budgets for our other state programs and federal programs, and also the food service program. The grand total, including all programs, is proposed at $42,440,273. Are there any questions?
Do we have any questions for either Ms. Carr or Dr. Shannon or Ms. Bunn?
I have a question, I believe for Ms. Carr. When you were going over the sections, and I may have missed it, the 62,000, is that where the increase for the school psychologist salary and the assistant superintendent are?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
I have a comment. First of all, I want to say thank you for the hard work Mr. Smith and Ms. Bunn and Dr. Shannon and everybody else put in. I just want to say that we are a 3.5% basically increase over last year, which is pretty amazing given the fact that we've seen like 11+% inflation over the last several years. Of note, adding the special education teachers is a necessity, and just want to continue to drive that point home when we're talking about budget increases, that we are probably below where we need to be on staffing for special education teachers. So those are not a want, they are an absolute need, and want to make sure that we have that point really clearly articulated. And also wanted to just bring up the fact that while the increase request for the local funding is going to be about $2 million plus, some of that's related to a drop in state and federal funds that are balancing our budget. So these are a lot of nuances that as ARPA or COVID dollars dried up, it's really impacted what has happened in the state as well as what has happened at local school districts with funding. So those are all really important things that I just want to make sure are heard, because I know there's more people than just our school board and our superintendent that are listening.
Any other comments? But this is an action item.
And Dr. Goodwin, I would like to piggyback on what Mr. Rogers said. A lot of what you see on the increases as well are things that we don't have control over. Of course, health insurance increases, regional tuition increases, psychology increases, fuel increases, fleet insurance increases. So a lot of those things, before we even have a chance to say what are the absolute positions that we need, special education teachers and things of that nature, we already have pretty significant increases in the other areas that we cannot control. That's what it takes just to open the buildings and run the school each day. So, you know, we absorb all of those costs, and then we're in the situation that we still have to make sure that our children have what they need to be educated, and we still have to make sure that our staff have raises to maintain some semblance of competitiveness. So, again, thank you for pointing some of that out, Mr. Rogers.
Dr. Goodwin, one of the other things that you don't see in this budget is new initiatives. Being as prudent as we were in this process, we didn't see any way with what we need, what the building principals were telling us that they needed in the way of special education teachers. We still didn't have any funds to have any kind of new initiatives for our students. And that's what we are lacking. We really need new initiatives.
Additional comments? This is an action item, so we do need a motion to approve. It's been moved by Ms. Lane, the second by Ms. Hobbs, that we approve the proposed school budget for fiscal year 2026. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So we have, 4 any abstentions. So we have, so the ayes have it. So the proposed school budget for fiscal year 2026 is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item is the Southampton Public Schools Program of Studies for 25-26. Dr. Shannon?
Yes, enclosed in your packet and online is a copy of the program of studies for the 25-26 school year. And within this program of studies, we have made some additions, as well as we have revived or asking for permission to revive some of our courses. Some of the additions are entrepreneurship, offering an advanced class, as well as information technology fundamentals, and sports and entertainment management. And then we would like to revive earth science and geometry at the middle school level, as well as add middle school seminars. Everything else that's included in the program of studies is information that we have had, throughout the years. And even though we may not offer some of the classes that are listed, we still like to keep the classes listed in the program of studies because our students are still able to take classes via Virtual Virginia and other means.
Any questions for Dr. Shannon concerning the program of studies for 25-26 for the middle and high school?
We started the CTE applications.
We haven't, not until we got permission.
Any other questions? Do we have a motion to approve? Have a motion by Mr. Smith, a second by Ms. Lane to approve the SCPS program of studies for 25-26 for the middle and high school. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. The next item is the use of facilities request from down the middle. Dr. Shannon.
Yes, we have a request from down the middle, as you just stated, from Mr. Darnell Lee, and he's requesting to use Southampton High School's baseball field for practice from March the 12th through May 21st, Monday and Wednesday, at from 6 until 7:20 p.m. He will charge no admission, and he's asking for a fee waiver, considering that his company is nonprofit.
Any questions for Dr. Shannon?
I make a motion that we approve it with the fee waiver.
You have a motion by Ms. Vaughn.
Second.
A second by Mr. Smith.
Would that interfere with the baseball?
It won't.
Any additional questions? So we have a motion, it's been moved by Ms. Vaughn, with a second by Mr. Smith.
I have a question real quick. Is it standard procedure to waive the fee for nonprofits? Is that what we do across the board?
Yeah, especially if he's an organization that's helping our own children. He's doing baseball practice and baseball.
Yeah, like that was just.
If you look at the request on the third page, it puts in there what the nonprofit fees normally are, like what we would charge a 501c3.
I just didn't know if that's what we usually do for like all nonprofits, or if it's still a case by case basis.
Correct. And because typically the requests we get are for people that are doing things for our children anyway.
So any additional questions before we call for the vote? Any additional unreadiness? So all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? So we have approved the use of facilities request by Down the Middle Foundation. Item E is the learning enrichment plan. Dr. Shannon.
Sure. I'm actually excited about our learning enrichment plan because the learning enrichment plan is going to provide an opportunity for various students to approach learning via different mechanisms. And we know that each of our families has unique situations, just like our children have unique situations. And because of that, we're not trying to put everyone into one format. One of the things that we're doing is we're trying to address them receiving additional learning via before school, during school, after school, on Saturday during school, as well as virtually at night. And so because our students are so active and everyone's situation is different, we are hoping that our students can participate in one of these means as far as learning enrichment is concerned. So Dr. Blunt is our director of accountability and school improvement, and she, along with other team members, will make this presentation tonight. And so Dr. Blunt, I'll go ahead and invite you to the podium. I will say this has certainly been a team effort. The principals will come and they'll talk individually about what they are going to do at their schools, and then Dr. Blunt is speaking collectively about what we are doing as a school division. I will start just with a few of the preliminary slides, and then Dr. Blunt will take it from there. All right, our vision, as you all know, is that all students will be successful, productive, lifelong learners in an ever-changing world. And the mission of Southampton County Public Schools is that through the combined efforts of staff, students, families, and community, we will ensure quality education and a safe environment that will prepare students to be successful learners and productive citizens in an ever-changing world. Our goals are to expand learning opportunities and increase student achievement, expand our safe and healthy school culture and climate, expand professional learning and improve employee retention, expand community and parental partnerships, expand capital improvement efforts and acquire more fiscal resources, and expand opportunities to make school more equitable for everyone. The purpose of our learning enrichment plan is to utilize multiple measures and modalities in assisting students with achieving academic success by addressing students' individual learning needs. Some of the measures that are included in this plan are tutoring, remediation, enrichment, and attendance recovery. And as I stated previously, this will occur before school, during school, after school, during virtual tutorial, as well as Saturday school. Just an overview regarding the definition of the methods that we will use. Tutoring provides targeted assistance to reinforce understanding and mastery of concepts. Remediation helps students who have fallen behind by reteaching essential skills and knowledge. Enrichment offers opportunities for students to explore advanced topics, enhance critical thinking, and deepen their learning experience. And attendance recovery ensures that students who have missed instructional time can make up for lost learning and stay on track for academic achievement. All right, and Dr. Blunt, take it from here.
Strategically, we have looked at opportunities, and each school has developed plans with Fidelity to provide personalized student support, to close learning gaps, to accelerate academic recovery, to recover time lost from instruction, and to provide enrichment opportunities. The attendance recovery component is one that is very dear to a person that we have added to our team. And I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce him to you. That is Mr. Jalen Boone. Mr. Boone is our attendance officer. And for those of you who have not met him, he is definitely an attribute to our efforts to keep our students in school. He has formed an awesome relationship with our parents and our students. He is very active in developing relationships with our students and our parents. And the objective is to encourage our students, form relationships, and just let them know, regardless of their circumstance, we need them in school and we will be in school. Thank you. The attendance recovery program is important. However, there are some stipulations. The students can recover time lost from instruction, but it must be done in person. It must be done with a certified teacher. It must be done outside of the regular school day, that means after school, before school, or on Saturday. And there is a state formula that allows the division to recoup days for chronic absenteeism. In short, for every 3 hours of instruction, a student can regain 1 school day. No more than 15 days can be recouped. In terms of identification of students, students are grouped in 3 tier groups, 1 of 3. Tier 1 groups are designed to meet the needs of most students, and it's through the delivery of research-based academic, behavioral, and social-emotional instruction. Some students require more support, and these students are usually considered Tier 2 students. Their instruction and interventions are delivered through evidence-based support that targets specific skill deficits. And then a few students require more intensive individualized supports, and these students are considered Tier 3 students. Now, these students are identified based on SOL data, student growth assessment scores, division benchmark scores, current performance, and other identifiable areas are literacy deficiencies and attendance. Now, students in Tier 2 and 3 are considered priorities. There is a criteria that we used for the elementary level, the middle school level, and the high school level. And on the slide, you can see that at the elementary level, we looked at attendance, prior SOL scores, division level benchmark scores, growth assessment scores, and the current grade level in the class they're in. At the middle school level, we looked at attendance, prior year SOL score, the division benchmark average, Virginia growth assessment, and the grade of the class. The high school level is slightly different. All of those variables used in the other grade levels, there are used. However, CTE credential status is added in addition to the growth assessment for 9th graders based on their 8th grade performance. Now, again, Southampton County Public Schools is committed to empowering every student with the tools they need to succeed by offering personalized enrichment to support academic acceleration, high-dose academic tutoring, literacy expansion, combating chronic absenteeism, capitalizing on the All-In Virginia program aimed at addressing learning loss. We examined closely and reviewed grade level materials, acceleration approaches, high-dose tutoring, low-dose tutoring, experienced tutors, relationships, and progress monitoring. We've also examined our budget for support staff. Per hour, our range is from $20 to $35. The proposed budget for instructional staff internally ranges from $40 to $50 per hour, and externally from $15 to $40 per hour. At this time, each school administrator will present their school plan to you. And in the absence of Mrs. Gary from Capron Elementary, Mrs. Warren will present along with Mr. Keith. Principal.
Good evening. I believe my hair was first on their slideshow, so I'll go with more cover Capron at the end. In the Herring Elementary School, we're proposing 4 modes for our tutorial plans. The first would be an after-school enrichment also known as after-school tutoring, but we will be looking at students in grades 3 through 5, selected using the elementary criteria listed above. We are adding the VALS data for our 3rd grade reading group, and also some teacher recommendations based on classroom performance. Students in grades K through 2 could be included as part of the attendance recovery program that Dr. Blunt just talked about, of course, pending the staffing for that grade level. Individual learning plans would be based on the winter growth assessment, student performance by detailed data in reading and math. Our after-school enrichment would be offered on Tuesdays and Wednesdays from 3:45 to 5:15, starting next week, March 19th, and running through the end of May. There will be 1 to 2 certified teachers per grade level, providing the remediation and enrichment in math and reading, and of course, we are including our science in 5th grade each day. We currently have 2 teachers committed and signed up. We need at least 1 to 4 more. We had 2 more sign up today after this presentation was done, and then the students would be provided a snack during the enrichment, and we would offer the transportation if needed by the parent. The next mode is the Saturday Academy. Again, students meeting the criteria for the after-school enrichment would also be recommended for the Southampton County Public Schools Saturday Academy. We will have a virtual instruction option if a student could not attend after-school enrichment in our Saturday Academy. Of course, because of busy schedules, we want it to be flexible. There is a virtual instruction opportunity. This would only be available to students in the need of the academic support and not available to the students needing the attendance recovery piece. Again, 1 certified teacher per time slot, conducting the virtual instruction in the following time slots: 5 to 6, 6 to 7, 7 to 8. And I had to type in there that would be 4 days a week. I think that is what the division is doing wide, so it would be Monday through Thursday. Content taught would be determined by the responses from the families. We were going to be flexible. Tuesday sessions, for example, could be math at all 3 grade levels during those time slots, or each time slot could be dedicated to a particular grade level and subject just based on the responses. And then finally, during school enrichment, a certified teacher right now is currently providing tutoring to the students in grades 3 through 5 in reading and math during school hours. Students have been identified using the all-in criteria, and all-in tutoring is being conducted either to a one-to-one basis or in small groups as the day's scheduling allows. We are using Lexia, Spire, and Exact Path as programs for that. In addition to the all-in tutoring, we are requesting to have 1 additional teacher per grade level, which would be 2 additionals for the day, so that each grade level would have 1. As of today, we didn't have any teachers that were interested in before school. However, if that changes and we do have a student that prefers the before school hours, we are certainly willing to offer that as well.
All right, good evening again. I'm gonna go through the quick little thing. Morning is definitely where we get our biggest bang for the buck. The Nallaway community, while softball and baseball are king, and so we get lower attendance when it comes to spring. So we do try to focus in our intent with morning tutoring. We would do that 2 days a week, starting at 7 a.m. to 8:30, focusing in on reading and math, grades 3 through 5, and with the attendance recovery. So the students in grades 3 through 5 would be selected based upon the school tier criteria. And of course, the before school enrichment attendance would be for those students that needed to recovery. Things that we use to currently identify students, it's a large list. This is just some of them. We use VALS, the fall growth, the winter growth, the benchmarks, previous SOLs, and then what we also do is we create individualized learning plans. The current one that we're working on is with our winter growth, using the student performance, the student detailed math questions in math and reading, seeing what their lowest academic areas are, and so that we work with their lowest to try to show the most gains. And then of course we will modify that once we get to the mock SOLs in March. We'll see if we have any learning gains, and if we don't have learning gains, then we go back into the drawing board. During school we have our remediation period and our clock. Incorporated in that, we do have our all-in plan, which uses some early release times, which focuses in on math and reading, and some science. We focus more on science when it gets closer to the test time. Implementation in conjunction with the all-in plan, we do make sure that we have the small groups, and then of course we do use the Lexia, Aspire, Exact Path, are just some of the name of the programs that we do use. Also, we are asking and recommending that we have at least get 2 additional tutors at NES. For during the school day, they would help assist in small groups and pull-outs. And we would also use them to help so that our teacher can do small one-on-one groups to really intensify with the students their learning. And those hours would be from 8:30 to 3:30 for our tutors. After school tutoring at this time, we are not offering it, but we will offer, of course, the virtual, because that is an option for those parents during that time. Saturday school, it's those who meet the criteria of the morning, and of course, we would offer the Saturday Academy. Virtual is, right now, currently I have 2 teachers signed up for elementary. The students that meet the criteria for morning, it would be the same with virtual. And then, of course, it would be 1 certified teacher, and it would be 4 days a week. There are time slots allotted, and it's basically to make sure that they can cut up, and it's based upon the needs of the students that sign up. And then I believe next is for
All right, good evening. So at this time, we're going to present the enrichment plan for Riverdale Elementary School. We posted a survey online in our Google Classroom just to see how many teachers and staff members were actually interested in assisting with before and after school tutoring. So with before school, we had 5 staff members that are interested in the hours between 7 and 8:30 a.m. The days would be Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we have prepared the student information, and the spreadsheets are available upon request. For after school tutoring, we had 9 staff members that are interested to include a paraprofessional. The hours would be 3:45 to 5:15, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Again, the student data is available upon request. During school tutoring, we would like to have 2 on-site tutors, possibly 1 for reading and 1 for math, to be at school Tuesdays and Thursdays from the hours of 8:30 to 3:30 p.m. to run small groups as well as other one-on-one sessions. We also proposed a virtual model. We had 3 staff members interested in the virtual model. The times range from 5 to 6 p.m., 6 to 7 p.m., and 7 to 8 p.m., Monday through Thursday. And we did have 3 staff members interested in that model as well.
So continuing along that path, students in grades 3 through 5, we selected using the elementary school tier criteria for before school enrichment attendance. Students in grades K through 2 will be included as part of the attendance recovery program pending staffing. Current identified students to attend based on the VALs, FGAs, winter growth assessment benchmarks, and previous SOL scores, while we're also creating individual plans and addressing individual student needs as needed. There'll be 1 or 2 certified teachers per grade level, pending we find some more teachers to do this, and we are including 5th grade science as we go along. We're also offering this from 7 to 8:30 a.m. We have teachers that are also interested, like Ms. Warren said, in after-school enrichment, mirroring the same concept. However, students will also be provided with a snack and possible transportation if needed. That time will run 3:45 to 5:15. Our day enrichments, tutors will be hired to provide small group instruction during the school day of math and reading. Implementation in conjunction with the all-in model. This all-in tutoring will be done on a one-on-one and in a small group as schedule allows each day. Lexi, Aspire, and Exact Path are also programs being used to implement this. Saturday School or Saturday Academy, students will be selected for this based on the same criteria as before and after school tutoring. Virtual instruction is for students who cannot meet one of the previous modes of instruction. This will be a virtual opportunity to help the parents with a flexible schedule. It's only available to the students that need it. There'll be 1 certified teacher per 10 students. Time slots will be 5 to 6, 6 to 7, 7 to 8. We're looking at offering this 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday. And content taught will be determined based off the responses and need of the students.
At this time, we're going to present the Cambridge Elementary School on behalf of Ms. Garrett. She has a proposed tutorial plan for before and after school enrichment. Students in grades 3 through 5 will be selected using the elementary school tiered criteria for after school enrichment attendance. Students in grades K through 2 will also be included as part of the attendance recovery program, pending available staff. As far as after school enrichment, it will be offered on Tuesdays and Wednesdays from 3:45 to 5:15 p.m. Starting March 17th, there will be 1 to 2 certified teachers per grade level providing remediation and enrichment in math and reading, including science for 5th grade each day. Students will be provided with a snack during after-school enrichment and transportation provided if needed. Also, she's proposing the Saturday Academy model. Students meeting this criteria for after-school enrichment will also be recommended for Saturday Academy. And for virtual instruction, if a student cannot attend the after-school enrichment and or Saturday Academy, there will be a virtual instruction opportunity. This will only be available to the students in need of academic support and will not be available to students needing attendance recovery. 2 certified teachers will be conducting the virtual instruction in the following time slots: 5 to 6 p.m. 5 to 6 p.m., 6 to 7 p.m., 7 to 8 p.m., 3 days a week, Tuesday through Thursday, and there can be up to 10 students per session.
Following along with Caitlin's plan, she's also proposing during school enrichment. Tutors are requested to provide tutoring to grades 3 through 5 in reading and math during school hours. Students identified using the criteria. This all-in tutoring will be done one-on-one in small groups as scheduled allows during each day. Lexi and Exact Path are also programs going to be used. In addition to the all-in, 3 school tutors are being requested in order to have 1 teacher per grade level per day. Attendance recovery will occur during after-school enrichment, at which time a certified teacher will be able to provide instruction and help recover time.
Then again. All right, for Southampton Middle School, our after-school tutoring plan or our enrichment plan is going to be 2.5 hours per day, 2:30 to 5 p.m., 2 days per week. Tuesdays and Thursdays, which will give us about 5 instructional hours per week. Students in grades 3 through 8, I'm listening to the elementary school, I know where it is. The students in grades 6 through 8 will be selected using the middle school tiered criteria from benchmark assessments, fall and winter growth assessments, and STAR reading assessments. And this will also be included as part of our attendance recovery program. Pending staff. So far, we have 10 SMS staff members who are interested in providing after-school tutoring.
We will also be offering a virtual tutoring plan. So with the virtual tutoring plan, those are 1-hour time slots from 5 to 6 p.m., 6 to 7 p.m., or 7 to 8 p.m. And that criteria is the same, so we'll be looking at our students in grades 6 through 8 who meet the tiered criteria from our benchmark and fall and winter growth assessments, as well as our STAR reading assessment. But the students that are not able to attend the after-school tutoring program but still are in need of academic support. The virtual tutoring will not be for students needing attendance recovery. So our attendance recovery students will need to come in person. And so far we have 3 Southampton Middle School staff members that are interested in providing virtual tutoring.
As we continue to make sure that we maximize instructional time during the school day, we're looking at offering in-school tutorial on Monday and Wednesday during the planning period of students selected elective classes. For 6th grade, that will be first period. For 7th grade, will be 4th period. And for 8th grade, it will be 6th period. Students in grades 6 to 8 who meet the middle school tier criteria from benchmark, fall and winter growth assessment, STAR reading assessment, students may attend in-school tutorials. Also at this time, we have 8 staff members who are interested in providing tutoring during their planning period. Thank you.
Good evening again. Our academic enrichment plan is a three-tiered, three-pronged plan. The first piece of our plan is called Command Hour. Now, interestingly enough, we actually have time during the school day with our activity period to implement Command Hour. Our main focus with Command Hour will be remediation, reteaching, skill building, teaching test-taking strategies as it applies to the specified SOLs. So students will be identified by teacher and by current grades. They will be placed in small groups, ideally no more than 12 students. We will have spreadsheets for teachers, and assigned students will be shared accordingly. We're going to be again using our activity bell schedule, and that bell schedule is through Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. It's an AM activity bell schedule that happens during our first period. And on Tuesday and Thursdays, it's our PM activity schedule that will happen during our fourth period. Also, after-school tutorial, which will be from 2:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. And this program for us is going to be hitting our Tier 2 students and those students who are able to work with their teacher in a small group setting. Our impact is to improve grades and test scores, increased understanding of the subject matter, enhanced study skills, and also filling learning gaps as well as homework assistance. And so in our after-school tutorial program, we're going to be focusing on one of our SOL tests. That's include Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, Earth Science, Biology, and Chemistry, along with World History 1, World History 2, U.S. History, and Geography. Additionally, we'll be supporting our English 11 SOL, but also providing English tutoring support to our 9th and 10th graders, along with our 12th graders. And also, additionally, we'll be supporting our students with absent recovery. So Saturday school will be held between 8 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. And those days will be March 22nd, April 5th, April 26th, May 10th, and May 31st. And again, in these groups, we're going to be not only hitting our Tier 2 kids, but our Tier 3 kids who need intensive remediation and support. And again, we're going to be focused on remediation, reteaching, support, and also seat hours for chronic absences. And our impact or our focus in this group will be preventing academic slippage, is what we're calling it, remediation and support, of course, credit recovery, test preparation, and enhanced opportunities. In some cases, Saturday school can also offer enrichment activities such as workshops. And again, those times are between 8:30 and 2:30 for our actual, our Saturday school component. We're hitting Tier 2 and Tier 3. We'll be held every other Saturday. And we'll be, again, hitting those SOLs. That's Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, Earth Science, Biology, Chemistry, World 1, World 2, U.S. History and Geography, along with English 11. And again, that additional support for English tutoring with grades 9 through 10 and 12. And again, absent recovery. We have a proposed budget here, and I'm sure our division support will be making that piece more clear for you guys. And our proposed budget total for all remediation programs, Dr. Blunt, I'll turn this over to you.
As Dr. Shannon said, you can see that this is a collective effort, and I want to thank the principals for working so hard to prepare this presentation for you. This is a condensed version. It took a lot of time to prepare this, and I hope that we have prepared it in a manner that you understand. We are, of course, money conscious, and we have prepared a proposed budget on the very high end, and it is displayed for you. Before school would be $66,400. After school would be $303,600. For virtual school, it would be or virtual instruction or tutorials would be $96,300. Saturday Academy or Saturday School would be $28,587.50, making a total of $494,887.50. That would leave us from a current balance in our all-in grant of $181,493.28. So we are within budget. Are there any questions?
Any questions for Dr. Blunt or Dr. Shannon?
I have a question. Is this something that we will be voting to approve tonight?
Yes.
I personally would like to request that we receive a copy of this and that we have an opportunity to look over it. I have a lot of questions.
Well, I think we're gonna vote tonight because they do need to move forward, so they do need our vote tonight. Was there another question, Mr. Rogers? Were you about to ask a question?
Yeah, it was less about the current plan and more about the balance and all-in dollars. Do we have a plan for how we might plan to use those funds? Because I think we can't use them after this year, right? So is there a plan for the other remaining funds after these would be expended?
Not at this time, but I'll get with my team and we'll talk about the balance that we have left.
Questions from other board members?
High schoolers will be pulled out of their electives, or was that middle school? Somebody was pulled out of electives.
Mr. Baraka, I think he talked about using the activity schedule.
Aren't some electives required?
I'm sorry, ma'am, any question?
Electives.
Yes, ma'am.
If they're pulled out, aren't some electives required for kids? If they're in band, or they can't be pulled out of band. So what will that look like if they're being pulled out of electives for tutoring?
But you didn't talk about pulling anybody out of anything. You talked about using an activity schedule.
Right.
So they're not being pulled out of anything.
Can you let him answer me, please? Thank you. It was mentioned about electives somewhere, but I don't have the presentation written. 6 through 8 was elective, is what I have in my notes. So my question wasn't for you, I'm sorry.
Yes. Mr. Baraka talked about using an activity schedule, activity bail, so students are.
Yeah, but my question was about electives.
I have a question for the high school though. So they're running on the activity schedule every day from what date? Like from now until then? SOS or?
Exactly. We'll be using our activity bell schedule to do the support. And again, it's already a captured time in our schedule that has already been structured. And it's actually that time that bell schedule has been in place for the last 3 years now.
You all use it every day?
No, ma'am. It's
Okay.
only when we have an activity.
Right, okay, that was what I thought, I just.
Yes,
So how much time does it take from each block?
Well, it's time that's already built into our academic bell schedule. So it's usually around 45 minutes. And we use it on a modified bell schedule. So it's still because it's still instruction, it still is a bell schedule that supports our mandated time and hours, man. It's just a restructuring of the bell schedule.
Right, but during that time, is everyone won't be receiving the remediation?
No, ma'am.
Some are clubs and that kind of thing?
Correct.
And that counts as instructional time for the 990 hours?
With the club piece, yes, yes, ma'am.
Additional questions for Dr. Shannon, Dr. Blunt, or?
Yes, I'd like to go back to the electives. How does that look at a middle school level? Are they electives that they signed up for second semester? Instead of going to PE, they'll go to tutoring. Instead of going to band, they'll go to tutoring. What does that look like?
Mr. Barfield, is that the middle school?
So for the middle school, the only electives that we have that count as high school credits are Art 1 and horticulture. So so we will not pull students from those electives.
Additional questions, comments? Anybody?
I would like to thank the staff for putting it together. I know that this was a lot of work that went into it, a lot of thought, planning. The principals have certainly already worked with their staff. They felt out, what staff would want to participate just to make sure that we had the coverage that we needed. So thank you for all the extra effort that was put in.
I just have a question about the elementary schools. So when they're being pulled out during the day, what are they being pulled from?
They're not being pulled necessarily in small group instruction. So they're going around in different centers essentially, and the teachers doing one-on-one. And then we have our remediation day, kind of similar to the high school. We don't run that as often, but we do have it, so it's almost like a modified schedule, and so that it doesn't interrupt the classroom instruction.
Okay.
And Aaron, we're doing in school now, and we pull from the non-tested content for no more than 20 minutes, so they do not miss a whole period. For example, third grade, that schedule runs from the social studies classes, and it's 20-minute periods out of that time, as they don't miss the whole block.
Okay. And you said that you all are doing that now. Are you, because these are students that already have academic needs, obviously, are you seeing any kind of detrimental effect in those classes? I mean, even with the 20 minutes, they're missing direct instruction, they're missing work potentially.
It's not every day. It's at most once a week, so they don't miss that core instruction, home instruction that's happening.
Okay.
We were able to see major growth in the winter growth assessment with the gains that we have done thus far. So we are seeing growth in gains, and even with the VALS for third grade, we're seeing gains with the progress of work that we are doing.
Being able to pull more small groups in a class versus having some working on some of the others in a small group, she said the growth has been significant. Being able to actually start remediating as needed throughout the day.
And who's doing that remediation now?
With us, it's the classroom teacher and our parents offering assistance to the students that are not in small groups.
Okay.
And Ms. Hobbs got a question. Comment.
I'd like to say I'm very pleased about all the work planning that went into this. I love the fact that you all gave teachers flexibility to choose rather than assigning them to whatever. It will definitely make the process go smoother and also increase productivity. So thank you so much.
Additional question?
I would like to take that and also say I think first off, for all the work that went into it, I think it's a wonderful safety net for the children to continue their education inside of the county public schools. Just an extra effort. So thank you all the effort that went into it.
Additional questions, comments?
I want to ask that when, if we vote to approve, can we just get the data that shows us how much of an impact we had? I think that'll be a really good point to look at and say, we had this investment and we added these extra opportunities for these kids that needed it, and here's the outcomes that we've got. So it sounds like we've already got some good data that maybe at some point during the work session that we'll have upcoming, we can take a peek at that. But at the end of the year, I'd really love to see how these, particularly tier 2 and tier 3 kids made out as a result of this.
And kind of piggyback off what Brandon said, I would love to see the fall growth assessment data, the winter growth assessment. I know that high school's taking some SOLs on a regular basis on our agenda, just a data update, testing update, so that we can see how the kids are doing throughout the school year instead of waiting till the end of the year to get that information. It's good to see progress, so if we can see that as a board, that would be helpful.
Additional questions, comments? But this is an action item, so we do need a motion to approve. been moved by Ms. Lane, it was a second by Mr. Scott, that we approve the learning enrichment plan. Any further discussion on the motion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. Okay, good. Well, Mr. Scott, let's do a voice vote, would you please, Mr. Scott? Yes, sir. Dr. Tyndall? No. Ms. Hobbs? Goodwin is a yes. Ms. Bunn?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Lane?
Yes.
Ms. King?
No.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Okay, so the yes have it. So we have approved the learning enrichment plan. Thank you. So we're down now to the superintendent's report. So Dr. Shannon.
We will start with our instructional report, and the instructional report will be brought to us today by Ms. Grace Sheldon. Thank you.
Good evening, Dr. Goodwin, Dr. Shannon, board members, and all present. The February-March instructional report topics are as follows: Exact Path Challenge, Lexia, Virginia Literacy Act updates, mock SOL testing dates, pre-K and kindergarten registration, and the program of studies. Our 4 elementary schools started their Exact Path Challenge in February. Students earn trophies as they complete lessons within the digital program. The homeroom with the highest percentage of trophies compared to class enrollment numbers earned the trophy for February. Homeroom winners are Miss Reza's homeroom from Capron Elementary, Miss Gary's homeroom from Meharon Elementary, Miss Stallard's homeroom from Nottoway Elementary, and Mrs. Peterson's homeroom from Riverdale Elementary. The challenge will continue throughout the months of March and April. Lexia Core 5 training took place for elementary teachers on March 6th. The training was a brief overview of the platform and its resources. There will be 2 additional training sessions for teachers on March 27th and April 30th that will review the data and reports Lexia has to offer. There are also 2 training sessions for principals on March 25th and April 28th. These sessions will cover building level data and reports. Additional Lexia Power Up licenses have been purchased for students with learning disabilities at the high school. Ms. Bode is working closely with the special education department to roster the requested students into the program. In addition to Core 5 and Power Up, Lexia offers an English language program titled Lexia English. The division is participating in the pilot program to provide additional support for our English language learners. Under the supervision of Mrs. Miranda Rawl, our English language learner specialist, the program will support English language learners in achieving proficiency in listening, reading, and writing. The program is designed to engage learners at their LIEP instructional level, helping them achieve a deeper understanding that supports progress toward meeting or exceeding grade level expectations. Elizabeth and I have a meeting scheduled for Wednesday to officially launch the pilot. Virginia Literacy Act updates. Students falling in the high-risk band on the mid-year vowels that were not previously identified as high risk are required to have a student reading plan. Reading specialists at all 4 elementary schools have already written these new plans, and those students are receiving the 2.5 hours of intervention required by EIRI legislation. Those students that were at high risk in the fall but were not flagged high risk for the mid-year vowels are no longer required to receive EIRI intervention, but will still have a student reading plan in place and be closely monitored. Principals have been conducting VLA walkthroughs using a Google walkthrough form created by the Curriculum and Instruction Department with the assistance of our elementary reading specialists. Forms were previously created to assess program usage. I'm happy to report that all of our teachers are working very hard to implement these programs with full fidelity. Future Google Forms will follow the UVA VLP walkthrough tool and outline evidence-based literacy practices. The new Virginia Language and Literacy Screener, VALS 4 through 8, is being piloted in divisions across the state of Virginia. We submitted our interest in participating. However, we were not selected to participate due to VLP staffing availability. Also, there will not be a soft launch for VALS 4 through 8, and full implementation begins during the 25-26 school year. I'm also happy to report that HMH into Literature, our current core reading program for 6 through 8, is on the BOE approved 6 through 12 English textbook list. The supplemental and intervention programs list for grades 6 through 8 is currently up for public review from February 20th to March 24th. It is located on the VDOE VLA website. The VDOE anticipates this list being approved at the end of this month. Provided on this slide are the mock SOL testing dates for all 4 of the elementary schools and the middle school. Elementary testing will take place the week of March 24th, and middle school testing will take place the week of March 31st. On this slide, you will see the information for both pre-K screenings and kindergarten registration. Pre-K screenings will take place the week of April 14th, and kindergarten registration will take place Wednesday, April 16th. And as you all know, the scheduling process is underway at both the middle and the high school. Schedule development timeline was provided to both building admin and guidance counselors at SHS and SMS. They submitted their requested revisions for the program of studies. They were reviewed by Dr. Shannon, and changes were made to the now approved program of studies. So thank you so much for your approval of the program of studies. We appreciate that very much. Questions?
Any questions?
I like the mock as well. I don't think I've been in school with the mock as well. Yeah, I've been to school, but I like that.
As a classroom teacher, I administered mock SOLs, and I found it very beneficial as a teacher to be able to have that time to remediate my students prior to their mock SOL test.
What SOL are you using? Because there's the latest ones out there in 2015 or something.
So we used the 2014 was the latest version. What we do is we just do the best we can with the new standards to build a full assessment with questions on everything that is shown on the blueprints.
Additional questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item is the maintenance, operation, transportation. Dr. Shannon?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Melvin is on his way to the podium. Okay, he's on his way to give that presentation.
I was just checking with Mr. Hatch because I was reviewing my notes so I could speak right, and I had a couple of things I had to adjust on my presentation, so Mr. Hatch just updated it for me real quick. I do apologize for that. So just wanted to take you through a bunch of the projects that are in progress right now. Total Hardware was to be starting today at Nottoway. They came to start their process of the door control systems. Our athletic fields out here have all been reseeded. The soccer field at the stadium has jumped since the rain we got last week, so that's been good to see. Softball and baseball fields, they got new infield dirt. The last time we put dirt on there was 2020. And it came in the Monday after we closed schools, so that was Monday the 16th, 2020. So we haven't had a couple of years since we put dirt out there. The repairs at Maharon and Riverdale are in progress from our pipe burst last month. The Capeland School Zone lights, 2 of the 4 assemblies have shown up, and they are being assembled, and we're getting the backside programmed with radar signs, and the other 2 are supposed to be here in the next week. Once they all get here, we'll get them put up outside of Capeland. As we talked about earlier, the RFP was issued last week for the student health building here. The greenhouse out back, we replaced all of the roofing tiles, the roofing panels, excuse me, on the greenhouse. We repaired the water systems within there and serviced the HVAC inside as well. Speaking of HVAC, at the middle school, we are in the process of the controls replacements and the mechanical replacements from the move. We are in progress with our 2026 insurance renewal with Versa, going through and making sure all of our schedules are correct for buildings, vehicles, and personnel. The Edgelog hardware piece we've been talking about, Edgelog is coordinating their folks to be here by the end of the month to do their switch out of the equipment on the buses. Starting the process with the middle school enveloping. That building is 70 years old. The windows are original on that building. So we are trying to explore ways that we can mitigate the loss of energy and the hot air coming in the summer and cold air coming in the winter. So Tremco is their architects working on that right now. Security film, we're in phase 2 of that, which is all the exterior facing windows at the high school, Meharron, Nottoway, and Riverdale. We'll hold off on doing middle school until we can address the other window situation there. The wigwam, the new kitchen equipment has been installed. Ms. Edwards and I are working. We have one more piece of equipment to put in there to make that all up to par. The voc tech shops, the classes are able to utilize those spaces. We've done a lot of work to get them cleaned up and cleaned out. Speaking of Ms. Edwards again, moving some things into those shops so that we're able to utilize it with her screen printing and with the vinyl as we progressively move forward into voc tech. Food services, the VDOE, they are reviewing an RFP for us to put out for contracted services, and also the same with our transportation department. Our insurance is reviewing, and we will also send it through our legal channels once we get it back from them. Because we have had such a pretty good go at it with HES, this is something that has helped us out a ton. So this is just another step for us to see what we can do. Any questions?
Any questions for Dr. Shannon or Mr. Melvin?
Mr. Melvin, I have
Yes,
a
ma'am.
comment concerning elderly women that walk around the track. They want to know if you're gonna fix those holes out there.
Yes, ma'am. That is one of the pieces with our construction that we're looking at doing.
You don't use it for games and matches.
It's not large enough to hold meets, but we still practice out there. So.
Any additional comments or questions?
Could you jog my memory on, I hope everybody's gonna drive absolutely the speed limit through the Capron speed zone. But if not, can you remind me where the ticket money goes for that when those $100 fines are issued?
To the county.
It's not us.
It goes to the county.
Okay, I think it would be good to ask for information about that, particularly because we pay for like resource officers and some things that come out of our budget that may be some revenue that the county didn't have coming in before. That I feel like it might be a good place to ask some questions once that's up and operating and understanding how that might be a benefit to us. And I had one transportation question. I had some concerned parent emails where I was copied, and do we have a system in place for where parents can effectively ask questions if a child's late or bus is running late or those kinds of things? Do we have a good method of communication that's monitored by somebody during the day?
Generally, parents are going to call into the transportation department if they have a question like that.
Yeah, I think we may want to publicize some of that just to make sure that we know that that's clear, or send some reminders, and maybe that'll save us some communication issues later on. I think there's a lot of questions for you to have to answer during the day that maybe could go to our transportation office versus just to you.
I thought we had GPS tracking
Yes,
for
ma'am.
buses that would help parents know where buses are. And I thought we had a system that for notifying what let's call. I thought there were two things in place.
Yeah. Well, I think a couple of the questions I saw were like when the normal bus was out of service, so there wasn't an edge along to track it, I think was part of the problem. I think knowing where the transportation office to get in touch with folks and having a response saves time.
I'm agreeing with you that we could put together like a frequently asked questions.
Yes.
And because I do know that we're supposed to have GPS tracking software, and we're supposed to have a system in place that would notify parents if buses are late. And it's supposed to be like an automatic information that parents get. So I think we need to put together frequently asked questions and circulate that to parents so they would know the number to call and the kind of, how to sign up for whatever those alerts are called. Yes.
So we do have GPS tracking on our buses. I think the bus he's speaking about was a substitute bus. And on the slide, it's talking about Edgelog is coming. And so when they come, they're going to change out the existing hardware. And then on that substitute bus, all the buses that don't have it, because some of our new buses don't, they'll put the GPS software on those buses as well. So then every bus will have it. But we do have a few buses that don't have it right now, and some of our new buses do not have it. And then we do also have Let's Talk, and Let's Talk is an opportunity for parents to be able to send messages. A lot of times they send them anonymously. Those messages are, they go straight to a number of people, one of them being central office personnel. Ms. Christie gets them, Dr. Willow gets them, technology gets them. So they go to multiple people's desks, and then they will answer those questions themselves via Let's Talk. And if it's something that we need to answer, they'll let us know. But for the most part, when they're sending questions via Let's Talk, those questions are answered immediately at the desk of persons who have been assigned an administrative role in Let's Talk. And a lot of times I really don't even know that they've asked questions because they're handling it. Now, regarding this particular situation, we did go ahead because we were FOIA'd as well as to that bus, what was going on with the bus that particular day. So we submitted the documents to the parent who requested the reason why that bus was out of service. And the bus was out of service because it was undergoing a state inspection, as well as I think we were changing like tires on the bus. So we submitted to the parent today a copy of the state inspection information, as well as a copy of the 45-day inspection information and like tire change information, what have you. And again, that's the reason that that particular bus was out of service, that particular day. So we do have a means in place, and that parent also knows who to contact and how to contact. They contact Mr. Melby 24/7 all the time. So Mr. Melby, they even in the email state that they contact Mr. Melby. Mr. Melby is over transportation. Now we have Mr. Vincent who works under Mr. Melby when it comes to transportation, but at the end of the day, Mr. Melby is the director of operations and auxiliary services. So when they're contacting Mr. Melby, they're contacting one of the right people. And then what Mr. Melby will usually do is reach out to the transportation staff who's handling it immediately, and more boots on the ground level, and then he'll talk to them to try to find out what's going on. But there's not much happening in transportation that Mr. Melby doesn't know, because he does have access to Edgelog, and he was here to help roll out all the Edgelog software in the first place.
So, do you keep data on if a bus is consistently late? Because I think that's one of the things I've gotten questions about is certain buses are being consistently late, so the kiddos are in a testing grade, so they're missing more instruction, and parents are having to take off work to get their kids to school on time.
Yes, ma'am. If we get reports of a bus that is consistently late, we figure out what is going on and make the adjustment for whatever the remedy is.
Things happen, but I just didn't know if there was one that just was.
If it was a scheduling piece that something can be avoided, absolutely, it's taken care of as soon as possible.
But if a bus is late, because I want to say this about bus drivers are very intentional. And when I tell you they are on the money, they are on the money when it comes to time. I remember one time doing a study with bus drivers because we were looking at whether or not they clocked in at the same time every day. I was like, there's no way in the world these people could be this punctual. But bus drivers really are punctual, they really are. So when we have bus drivers that are late, they're usually late because they're trying to help somebody else. It seems like it's like another situation that we have going on. So it may be a case where we have a bus driver that's absent, or we can't find a substitute driver or something like that. And so what happens is someone will make an administrative decision because they want to get the kids to school, so they may combine a bus route or something like that. And them combining that bus route ends up impacting all of the kids involved, as opposed to just, one set of kids. And so then they may make a bus driver late because they combined a bus route or something like that. But the bus drivers, they are very, very punctual. So if they're late, it's usually because we've made an administrative decision that makes them late. And I say we, because of my position, but it's usually we've combined a bus or done something because someone was out that particular day and we could not find a sub.
I mean, and things happen, like you said, so once in a while is, I get it, but that's why I was asking, did you have the data on what bus, if there had been a bus that's like consistently late for, 3 days a week, or, did you have the data on it? Because I didn't want it to seem like, I get it, people are out sick, we have to double up, I work in a school system, we do that too. But I was just trying, what we get brought to us from the community, I'd like to have the data from the division to be able to be more transparent with the conversations and to help them understand better.
Additional questions or comments?
Thank you.
Dr. Chairman, we have down to student enrollment, student teacher attendance.
All right, student enrollment, we currently have, and this was as of February's report, 2,247 students, and inclusive of our pre-K and SPED students, it's 2,390 students. And the winners of the Student Attendance Award for this month is Meharrin Elementary School. So let's give Meharrin a round of applause. And that's at 96.62%. And the winner of the Teacher Attendance Award is also Meharrin Elementary School at 94.74%. So thank you, Meharrin Elementary School, you and your staff for just a job well done.
Go to school calendars and assistant superintendent.
Okay. The school calendars are, they're included in your packet.
He's under medicine board.
Okay, got it. All right, so anyway, those calendars are included in your packet, and basically they just provide information for you all as to what's occurring at each of the schools. So, we appreciate the principals and all that they do. So in addition to all of the teaching and learning that's occurring at the schools, we also have quite a few activities that take place during the day as well as during our evenings. So thank you all for that. And then the next item is the assistant superintendent job description. And you all requested that information, so I just provided it for you. It was actually online, and it went online the same time that the job posting went online. So what you have in your packet or online is the information that we already had online. But that's the job description that you requested. Okay.
Now we're down to Madison board. Usually in March, our board has a second meeting, a special meeting, and usually at that meeting,
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but could I ask a question about the job description? You transitioned so quick, I didn't get a chance to.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I reviewed the job description, and I had a couple of questions related to it, and I think it would be helpful to compare that to the job description for Dr. Blunt and for Dr. Shan, just to look at overlap there. And one of the things I was hoping to see is what area of student achievement, Dr. Shannon, you were looking for that position to most impact. I know we talked about the position a little bit in one of the budget workshops, and just thinking about where student achievement will be directly impacted by that position might be a helpful tool to include when we're looking at measuring performance and for you to be able to talk about the benefit there. And I wasn't sure, I didn't see a license requirement on that, and I might have missed it when I was looking through it, but we would be requiring.
Virginia certificate for superintendent.
Oh, does it? Okay, then I missed it, I'm sorry. And the only other question I had was, I've looked at a couple of other assistant superintendent positions throughout the state, and I see oftentimes that the strategic plan, coordinating the activities around strategic plan often falls down to the assistant superintendent. I wasn't sure if that would be something that would be helpful to you for that position to work on, and I didn't see it referenced. Again, I might not have caught it if it's in there, so I was just thinking that might be a helpful activity if you wanted to consider that as part of the description.
Thank you, I appreciate that. I said no.
Thank you.
So we were down to item, any other comments or questions about the assistant superintendent position description, which is a position that we are trying to resurrect. It's one we had in the past, the one we're trying to bring back. Not then move on to matters from the board. In March, we usually have a work session, a board work session. And that work session that we just call our data meeting, for lack of a better term, but it's at that meeting that we get information on stuff like, you know, the number of buses and the age of the buses, or the number of cars and the age of the cars, the preliminary SOL data. You know, so we just, it's a meeting that we get information about, get data, get some specific numbers about student performance, about transportation matters. So I'd like for us to plan that meeting for the end of March, and I'd like for board members to look at your calendars to see if you're available either Wednesday, March the 26th, or Thursday, March the 27th. Either of those days work for us. Wednesday, March 26th, or Thursday, March 27th.
27th is better for me. Thursday.
27th. The 27th, you're not available. It could be the 25th. I'm just, any.
What time?
6. I was just throwing out those dates to give us a starting point, but we could do we could do Tuesday the 25th or Friday the 28th. I mean, you know.
Is Monday the 24th a possibility?
Monday the 24th. Did everybody check Monday the 24th? Mr. Smith, Ms. Bunn, Ms. Hobbs, Dr. Tender, Mr. Scott. Okay. So Monday the 24th, we'll have a budget, we'll have a school board work session, and it will take place, we'll start at 6 o'clock, and it will be held in the library, but that will be our work session for the month of March, and we'll get the necessary notifications out, and I'll try to have Ms. Artist send us out a reminder of that meeting on the 24th, and Dr. Shannon will put together the presentation in terms of statistics and reports and data that, to share with us. Questions, comments? The second item I asked to be added to the agenda, the February 26, 2025 edition of the Tidewater News had an article entitled "Supervisors Respond to SCPS Regarding Forensic Audit." And I feel compelled to respond to that article, or to at least some information given in that article. In November of 2022, the citizens of Southampton County voted to move from having school board members appointed by the school board selection committee to having school board members elected directly by the voters. Well, no school board members were surprised by this change. In 1992, Virginia became the last state in the nation to allow elected school boards. If you remember, it was in 1992, those of us old enough to remember, but it was in 1992 that the Virginia General Assembly voted to allow elected school boards in Virginia. and it was Governor Douglas Wilder who signed that legislation into law. But since that time, Virginians have embraced elected school boards, and Southampton County is no different. Virginia has 132 school districts, and in 2022, only about 10%, or maybe 15 or 16 of those districts still had appointed school boards. So as school board members, we were very much aware of the trend of moving from appointed school boards to elected school boards, and many school board members supported that move. So we were in favor of it, we supported it, it was no surprise to us. But whether appointed or elected, the school board, like the Board of Supervisors, is accountable to the public, to the citizens of Southampton County. The school board and the Board of Supervisors are equal boards, but they have different responsibilities, and those responsibilities are spelled out in the Code of Virginia. So the Board of Supervisors is an entity of Southampton County directly accountable to the people of Southampton County. And the Southampton County School Board is an entity in the county directly responsible to the citizens of Southampton County. So it is the Southampton County Board of Supervisors that is taking legal action against the Southampton County School Board. So the legal action is being brought by the Board of Supervisors against Southampton County School Board. So that's one point I wanted to make. The second point I wanted to make is that the school board does want to have an effective, positive relationship with the Board of Supervisors. And I know that we had that relationship for at least 20 years because I was here. So for at least 20 years, that was a positive relationship. And I know that all of us would love to see us get back to doing that. But oftentimes, when people talk, reference is made to a meeting that took place on July the 14th, 2021. So on July the 14th, 2021, with the approval of the school board, the chair of the Board of Supervisors, the vice chair of the Board of Supervisors, the chair of the school board, the vice chair of the school board, the superintendent, and the county administrator met. The purpose of the meeting was to strengthen the relationship between the two boards. The focus of the meeting was to discuss the roles and responsibilities of each board as spelled out in the Code of Virginia. Well, we thought, from the school board perspective, that it was a successful meeting, and we thought we were on our way to restoring or establishing a positive relationship. Well, unfortunately, the Board of Supervisors leadership and the school board leadership had different takeaways from the meeting. If you look at the minutes of the July 27, 2021 meeting of the Board of Supervisors, it seems that the only takeaway the chairperson of the Board of Supervisors had was that at its meeting, the Board of Supervisors would solicit concerns about and discuss matters pertaining to the operations of Southampton County Public Schools. They would forward those informations to the superintendent, and the superintendent would answer back to the Board of Supervisors. And if you look at those minutes, at the July 27, 2021 meeting of the Board of Supervisors, this is what the chairperson of the Board of Supervisors had to say after the meeting. He said, we drew up a list of questions, and he said, I'll read them. And this is what he read. He said, a listing of students with perfect attendance during the 2021 school year, a listing of faculty or staff that requires stipends for coaching or serving as an organized sponsor during the year 2021, and the amount of each stipend, a copy of the current employment contract for the division superintendent, a copy of the manufacturer's recommended guidelines and procedures associated with all new school routes financed through our school bonds, minutes of the last 3 meetings of the Southampton County School Board Selection Committee. After the board chair read his request, another member of the Board of Supervisors added the following questions. How are they handling the critical race theory curriculum? Do we have any transgender high school students? And where does the out-of-district tuition go And how many such students do we have, and how much is the tuition for these students? Well, the takeaways were so different. That's not the takeaway that the school board had from the meeting. We did not see how this takeaway aligned with our takeaways in our method for strengthening the relationship. Therefore, a few months later, the school board proposed that the two boards have a joint meeting instead of just having the chairs and vice chairs and county administrator and superintendent meet. So we proposed having a joint meeting so that all members of both boards could have the same information at the same time. Our proposal was that the joint meeting would be facilitated by a member of the Virginia Institute of Government, which is an organization that the Board of Supervisors holds a membership in, and it's also an organization that is a part of the University of Virginia's Weldon Cooper Center for Public Service. We thought we needed an experienced facilitator because this person could guide the discussion to help keep us on track. It would keep the meeting on schedule. The person could ensure that all attendees had a chance to participate. The facilitator could maintain a respectful meeting environment, and then after that meeting, that person would summarize and distribute the key points that were made at the meeting. A person was identified, like I said, it was a person who was a member of the Virginia Institute of Government, and it was a person that the county supervisor was familiar with. But the Board of Supervisors would not agree to having a joint meeting of the two boards under those conditions. Therefore, that meeting never took place. So even though that meeting never took place, we did have in place for several years a budget liaison committee, and that committee met. It was comprised of 2 members of the Board of Supervisors and 2 members of the school board, as well as the superintendent and the county administrator. Those meetings took place for a number of years, and they just sort of petered out over time. But the point I'm making is that we do want to have a working relationship with the Board of Supervisors. We know that the citizens of Southampton County benefit from a great working relationship between the two boards. Our goal is to make sure that Southampton County citizens have a quality of life that's enviable if everybody lives in a rural community. So we do want to work with them. The second point I want to make is that we take seriously Freedom of Information Act requests. The Virginia Freedom of Information Act is intended to ensure that the people of the Commonwealth have access to public records in the custody of a public body, and that they have free entry to meetings of public bodies where business of the people is being conducted. The Southampton County School Board strives to adhere to the requirements of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and we have no knowledge of any instance where an individual has paid the estimated cost of a FOIA request and has not received the information paid for. Our board we have no instances of such cases. And I've asked Dr. Shannon, she couldn't find any case where a person had paid for a FOIA request and didn't receive the information. The third point, I think those are all the points I wanted to make, is that we do want to have a positive, effective working relationship. But that relationship has to start with the first step in that relationship has to be mutual respect of the roles and responsibilities of each board. We each have responsibilities, we each have roles, and we need to respect the work that each board has to do. But our board stands ready and willing to work with the Southampton County Board of Supervisors. We are open to doing so. We report directly to the citizens of the county, and we are happy to foster positive relationships. If there are other school board members who want to add something, you can make those comments now, but I just want to reiterate that we do want to be good partners in working to make Southampton County a good place to live, work, and play. But we do demand respect. we know our responsibilities, we know our roles, and we do think that we need to be respected for the work that we do. Additional questions, comments? Mr. Smith?
Madam Chair, I think you summed it up about as well as it could be summed up.
Thank you.
We have always fostered an idea that both boards need to be working together for the citizens of Southampton County. That's what it takes. Respect for each other.
Thank you. Additional comments? Thank you. The last special matter is Mr. Rogers, something about school calendars.
Yeah, we had approved at our last meeting an adjustment to the school calendar, and I think we had some more snow days afterwards. We need to relook at the school calendar again. I think Dr. Shannon, you were able to get a memo out to staff at one point this month with some additional days for makeup days. I just didn't know if we needed to revisit that.
We're not prepared, I don't have that information right now. Give me a second to try to pull it up. So it was my intention to talk about that at the next board meeting, along with the instructional time, and then make a request to the board to potentially waive the 140 hours of seat time. So I would ask that we honestly just table that discussion then until the next board
March.
meeting. Yes.
Can you include on March 24th?
Sure.
Would that be acceptable, Mr. Wright, to include it at our March 24th?
Yeah.
Special meeting?
Yeah, I think, the reason I brought it up is because I think one of the makeup days has already occurred, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we can talk about it on March 24th.
Well, we're not gonna change anything that's in the memo that went out. I think he's talking about additional information, correct?
No, because the memo included days that had not been moved, right?
The original memo included days going from some half days to some full days, but it did not add any days to the school calendar.
It did.
Yeah, and the half days that were voted on by the board, there were additional half days that had.
Yes, there were some additional half days. Yes.
We don't have to
vote
vote on those additional ones. If we voted on 4, we didn't have to vote on the other ones.
Well, my understanding was, and Dr. Shannon did not send out that memo about the additional half days without talking to me about it. My thinking and Dr. Shannon's thinking was that since the board tended to leave the number of hours per school day to the superintendent, so if the superintendent was not adding days to the calendar, but instead just changing the schedule for the day, that I thought that we could talk about it as a board and that it would be okay. So she did send out that memo in terms of moving from half days to full days with my full knowledge.
I'm just new to this whole board thing, but if we voted on the 4 half-a-days, what would make it different?
There's nothing different about it. I was just basing it on when Dr. Shannon and I talked. She said maybe people want to get a handle on and get ahead of when we're going to move from half days to full days. We didn't have a meeting coming up until now, and I said, okay, if you think you want to put out that information now that we're going to change from some half days to some full days, I didn't see any danger in doing that.
I don't like that. That seems messy to me.
Well, you might not like it, but it's done now.
Yeah, because you took it upon yourself to make a unilateral decision, and I don't think that's how the board is supposed to function.
It probably isn't, but that's what we did in that case. So there are some days that we're moving from full days to from half days to full days. And only because that's been, something that we have allowed the superintendent to decide on the number of hours per day. But not add days without board approval. In the past, if the superintendent wanted to me, that's like saying we're gonna miss a day because of snow. She doesn't have to have board approval to say no school today. Or if there is, like when we had the bad storm, she didn't need board approval to say we're gonna dismiss early. So my thinking was she didn't need board approval to say on these days we're gonna go all day instead of a half day. So I'm sorry if I overstepped, I apologize. I won't do it again, but for those days, it's done.
And
Just as a point of clarification, I think she's right in that in the past, we've never voted if we were just changing a half day to a full day. That's always been at the discretion of the superintendent. If we were gonna add in a Saturday or things of that nature, then we did vote. So when she brought it to us that night, that was more, I wouldn't take it as etched in stone. I took it more that she's trying to get our feedback of, do we want to add Saturdays, or do we want to go into spring break, or do we want to do it with half days? So I think that in keeping with what we've done in the past, if it's just a conversion of a half day to a full day, I do think that that could be the decision of the superintendent.
I think we need a policy on that, and I took it, my perspective that night, because I'm new, I don't have that past experience. We voted on half a day, so when those memos came out, I wasn't able to speak on that because that's not something that we discussed, and we're trying to build this relationship with the community. I was elected by them, and I want to be able to represent them accurately, and that's hard to do when something like that happens.
If there are things like that come up where, you know, like we said, we voted on one thing and an additional decision has to be made, can the board just be made aware of that in an email so that, because I had the same thing, I had people asking me and I was looking at what the board had voted on and said, oh, well, no, I don't see what you're looking at, and it is frustrating when we don't have the answers.
The two of you and not the rest of us. So I don't think the other 7 of us received any calls, so unfortunately they only contacted 2 people.
I can forward the emails to you.
I don't need it. However, as I said, you know, I apologize, it's done. I was going on precedent. So times have changed, won't do it again. But for now, that's what it is. Any further discussion, comments? Pursuant to section 2.2-3711A1 and 2 of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, the board upon a motion and a second will convene in a closed session to discuss personnel appointments, resignations, retirements, and compensation, intra-district non-resident applications, the administrative discipline review report, and legal matters. At the conclusion of the session, the board will return to this area to take any needed action on matters discussed during the closed session. So do we have such a motion? So we have a motion by Ms. Lane, a second by Mr. Scott. So the board will convene in a closed session in the teachers' lounge.